What is going on, everybody? My name is Peyton Burton, co-host and co-owner of the Evergreen College Basketball Podcast and Facebook group. In today's video, I am going to be previewing the Mid-American, the MAC Conference Tournament that's happening this week, or this upcoming week. It starts on Thursday, March 14th, and it ends on Saturday, March 16th. This is a 3-day tournament. The top 8 seeds, or the top 8 teams from the Mid-American, convene in Cleveland, Ohio, in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse to come up with a tournament champion for the Mid-American Conference. And let me tell you something. Couple of notes that I want to bring up for this tournament. For one, the Mid-American does some weird stuff that I just don't necessarily like. And they're not the only conference that does this. It's an 8-team bracket, but they have 12 teams in this league. So they cut off the bottom 4 and make up a top 8 for a chance to win their conference tournament and punch their ticket into March. That's something, it might be just little for y'all. Y'all might not really give a damn. This is something like I just don't like. And there's a couple other conferences, lower half, mid-major conferences that does this type of stuff. And I just don't know what's the point in even having a conference tournament if you're not going to have every single team in the conference. I don't care if they go 0 for 14 in conference play. That's the part of March that's just so satisfying that a team who won 0 games in conference play can still win 4 straight and still punch their ticket into March. That's the brilliance of March Madness. That's what we all love to see. And it's unfortunate that they decided to do it this way. Maybe I haven't just paid attention to this conference enough to really know if this has been a common theme throughout the years. They've been continuously to do this, but it's something I just don't like and I just don't agree with. But that's just something small that I've noticed doing some notes on this conference and basically just watching them all season long. But let's go ahead and get into this conference tournament. This season's conference tournament for the Mid-American Conference is the singular conference tournament, low major, mid-major, that I am probably going to keep my most eye on. Because I think there's legitimate 4 winners, 4 contenders to win this tournament. I think your top 4 seeds, your number 1 seed in the conference is Toledo. Your second seed is Akron, 3 seed Ohio, and 4 seed Central Michigan. I think either one of those 4 seeds, those top 4 seeds, can legitimately win this tournament. And the reason is I just think in different ways, Central Michigan, I'll get into them in a little bit. I'll preview the team as I'm going through this bracket here in a minute. But Central Michigan, if they win this tournament, it's going to be off their defense. Toledo, if they win this tournament, it's going to be on the offense. Akron and Ohio, if they win this league, it's going to be because of their depth and their 3-point shooting from Ohio and Akron's just grit to win in these big time games. I think those top 4 seeds have a legitimate chance to win this tournament. And if you look at the conference, if you go back and look at KenPom and you just look at the top 4 this year, the top 4 were separated by just only 2 games. Toledo won this league. They finished with a 14-4 conference record. Akron and Ohio finished with a 13-5 conference record. Akron got the 2 seed because they won the tiebreaker. They beat Ohio. They actually split the series this year, so I'm not too sure what the tiebreaker was, but obviously went into Akron's favor. Maybe overall record, because I think they had an overall record higher. Yeah, they finished 21-10 overall. Ohio was 19-12, so I don't know if that was actually the tiebreaker or not. But either way, Akron was the 2 seed. They both finished with a 13-5 conference record, and you had Central Michigan finishing with a 12-6 conference record. You have the top 4 teams won over 18 games this year. Toledo finished the overall season, finished the regular season 20-11. Akron 21-10. Ohio 19-12. Central Michigan 18-13. Bowling Green 19-12. Your top 5 teams in this tournament, in this conference, won over 18 games this year. That just shows how wide open this league is going to be and why you need to keep an eye on the Mid-American Conference. Starts Thursday, Cleveland, Ohio, Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. I cannot wait. These games will be played on CBS Sports Network, by the way. Keep an eye on this tournament because I think it's going to be an exciting one. There's legit 4 teams. Maybe Bowling Green can make an upset. 4 to 5 teams that can actually win this conference tournament, and I'm very excited. Let's go ahead and get into the bracket. Let's go ahead and pull the bracket up now. First couple matchups, the quarterfinals, you got 1 seed Toledo taking on 8 seed Kent State. You got 5 seed Bowling Green taking on 4 seed Central Michigan. You got 2 seed Akron taking on 7 seed Miami of Ohio. And then you have your final quarterfinal matchup. Game 4 of the night will be on ESPN Plus. The first rounds, the quarterfinals will be played on ESPN Plus. Your semifinals and the finals will be played on CBS Sports Network, by the way. Oh, no, the semifinals will be played on CBS Sports Network, if I can speak. And then your conference tournament final will be played on ESPN2. That's my apologies. I thought it was the other way around. But either way, your final quarterfinal matchup is 6 seed Western Michigan, 3 seed Ohio. The Ohio Bobcats fight, I know I mentioned already. But let's go ahead and get into these quarterfinal matchups. 1 seed Toledo taking on 8 seed Kent State. No offense to Kent State, but I just think Toledo, they're the best offensive team in this conference. They're ranked first overall and basically in almost every single statistic in the conference. First in efficiency, first in effective field goal percentage. They take care of the ball, the first in turnover percentage, and they're the number 1 team three-point shooting wise in this conference, shooting 38% from 3. And they've got multiple dudes on this roster. Raheem Moss, who leads them in scoring. Then you have Dante Maddox, who's right behind him. Too much for the Kent State to overcome. I think Toledo breezes by in this game. I think they win this game pretty comfortably, and they move on to the semifinals. Next matchup, we have 5 seed Bowling Green taking on 4 seed Central Michigan. I think this game, as far as the quarterfinal matchups, obviously this is the game that people need to really pay attention to because it honestly could go either way. If you look at Bowling Green, they're 5 overall in offensive efficiency, the 7th overall in defensive efficiency. They're one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league. They shoot 29.8% from 3, which has them 10th. And also one of the worst teams in the conference at defending the 3. They gave up 37% from the three-point line. Although they've got some dudes on their roster, they got Marcus Hill, they got Rashawn G. I don't think this game going to be comfortable for them. I don't see their way for them to win this game if they're not hitting shots and they're not stopping Central Michigan from hitting shots as well. But if they do win this game, it's going to be a defensive battle because not only do they not shoot the ball well from 3, and they're one of the worst offensive teams in this league from efficiency standpoint, Central Michigan's actually worse. They're actually ranked 10th in offensive efficiency in this league. They shoot 29.9% from 3, so a little bit better than Bowling Green. But their defense is just so much better. They're the number 1 defensive team in this league. They give up 28% from the three-point line, which is second in this conference. I just think overall the defensive presence is going to be too much for Bowling Green to overhandle. And I do expect them to hit a couple threes in this game, even though statistically they're not a great three-point shooting team at all. But obviously Bowling Green doesn't. They give up too many three-pointers. 37% from 3, that's way too much. You should not be doing that. But I think Central Michigan, their defense prevails in this game, and they move on to the semifinal. Meet Toledo in a hell of a game that we'll get to in a minute. Next quarterfinal matchups, we got 2 seed Akron taking on 7 seed Miami of Ohio. I think Akron wins this game. Akron is going to be a very tough team to beat in this game because they're just so deep. They're so talented. And on Miami of Ohio, I just don't think they're going to be able to compete in this game, especially later on in the second half. This game might be close early, but I see Akron stretching it out, and I think they win this game by like over double digits. I'd say they win this game by 77-62. Akron moves on to the semifinals. Final quarterfinal matchups, we have Western Michigan taking on Ohio Bobcats. If there's going to be an upset in the early rounds and the quarterfinal matchups, Western Michigan, I think, can do that. They're 7th overall in the conference in offense. They're 6th and defensively, so they're very average team. They're very, I'm not going to say mediocre. They're pretty much basically even for both stats, offense, and defensively in the conference. They're shooting by an average percentage from 3, 34% from 3, 49.9% from the two-point line. The number 1 team in the league in block percentage, so their shots don't get blocked at all, hardly. They're gonna have to come out and score though because Ohio is just so good. They're so capable of going out there and putting 80 plus on you. And plus, they're on a 6-game winning streak. They're number 2 offensively. They're number 4 defensively. They shoot 36.8% from the 3-point line, 53.6% from the 2-point line. They hit majority of their free throws 73% of the time. They're number 1 in steal percentage, so they force teams in a lot of turnovers. Number 1 in turnover percentage as well, so that proves that stat. I think Ohio, even though this game could be dicey later on in this game, especially if Western Michigan can hit some shots from the outside 3-point line, I expect Ohio and their depth to overcome Western Michigan in this game. And I think they move on to the semifinal matchup. The quarterfinals is going to hold chalk. You have your top 4 seeds in the semifinals. I know this is where shit gets dicey for me because like I mentioned earlier, I think literally any one of these teams can win this league. It can win this league title. 1 seed Toledo takes on 4 seed Central Michigan. Toledo's the best offensive team in this league. But Central Michigan's the best defensive team in this league. Toledo's defense is ranked 5th. Central Michigan's offense is ranked 10th. If we look at the roster, Toledo's roster, they're back behind Raheem Moss. I hope I said his name correctly. 15.7 points per game, shooting 32% from the 3-point line, 46.7% from the overall field, 2.8 assists per game, also 5.6 rebounds a game, which is very impressive for him being a guard. Then you have Dante Maddox Jr., who's also a over 15-point scorer for this team. Shoots over 40% from the 3-point line, 4.1 rebounds, 2.9 assists. Tyler Cochran, another guard, averaging almost 30 minutes per game, 14.6 points per game, 6.5 rebounds per game, 2.1 assists per game, and 2 steals per game. One of the best on-ball defenders on this team and in this league, period. Shooting a pretty good percentage from 3, 36.5%. Their guards are just so talented scoring-wise, and the fact that their guards are pretty much the top rebounders on this team just shows like rebounding is all effort. That's something I'll always preach. It doesn't matter how tall you are. It doesn't matter how athletic you are. It doesn't matter what your size is. Like rebounding is all heart and it's all effort. And they are like top 3 in rebounding. Tyler Cochran, who's a guard, leads them in rebounds per game with 6.5. This team's going to play small ball. You have Jafon Simmons, who's a forward, 12.5 points per game. 4.8 rebounds per game. It's a very good rebounding team. They're going to play small ball, which could give Central Michigan some problems. But here's the difference maker for me. Central Michigan has a very good, a very underrated, a very consistent roster. They don't shoot the 3-ball particularly well, but when you defend as good as they do on ball, it's really hard for you to score on them. They have 4 dudes who average in double figures. Anthony Pritchard is by far their best player on this team. 13 points per game with 5 rebounds per game and 4.6 assists per game. Also averaging 1.6 steals per game. Shooting over 45% from the field, 74% from the free throw line. Obviously, I mentioned they're not a good 3-point shooting team, but they do have 2 guys who shoots over 40% from 3, which I think is going to be very, very important in this matchup specifically because obviously they're going to defend. I expect this game to be won in like the first team to 65, I think, wins this game. I think if Central Michigan can hold Toledo to that, like the 65 area mark, and I think Central Michigan wins this game. And I think Derek Butler and Aiden Rubio, both of those guys shoot over 40% from 3. I think they're going to have to hit a couple threes in this game to really open them up. If they could jump out to an early lead, like a 7-0, 10-4 lead early in this game, then I think Central Michigan wins, and I think that's what they're going to do. Upset alert. The 1 seed goes down in the semifinal. Central Michigan defense holds strong. They've got a good roster, good balanced roster. Offensively, they're not great, but I think they're going to make enough stops. And I think Toledo in a conference tournament environment, even though I'm pretty sure, I don't know how they do it. Obviously, it's going to be in Cleveland, Ohio. They're going to have to hit some shots, and they have done it all season long. But in a conference tournament environment, Central Michigan's defense is just too damn talented. They're too damn good. And I think they're going to control this game from the start. They're never going to look back from that. Central Michigan moves on to the final on Saturday night, and they will play the winner of 2-seed Akron and 3-seed Ohio. This game is It's a damn toss-up to me because I picked Akron. Let me go ahead and spoil it for you. In my drone picks, I picked Akron to win this league, to win the title. I think whoever wins this matchup goes on and beats Central Michigan in the final. So I'm going to go ahead and spoil that for you right now. I think the winner of this game, whether it's Akron, Ohio, goes on and beats Central Michigan in the final, and they will represent this conference in March Madness in the Big Dance. The toss-up for me is because both of these teams are very evenly matched. Akron in conference, they're the top 3 offense and top 3 defense. Third in offense, second in defense. They are the number 1 team in this league in 2-point percentage, 54.6 from 2-point line. So they attack the rim really well, and they finish towards the rim really well. 33% from 3-point line, below average, but it's enough to win you ball games. They take care of the ball really well. So, number 1 in steal percentage. The number 1, surprisingly, a little surprising to me, the number 1 in defending 3. They only give up 21 or 28% from 3, which is very, very good. The number 1 in offensive and rebounding percentage defensively. So teams don't get second chance opportunities when they play against them, which is very important. In games like this, when it's so close, you're going to have to be able to defend the 3-point line, and you're going to have to be able to clean up second chance opportunities for the other team. You got to be able to get majority of your rebounds, and they do a hell of a job. Number 1 team in this league at doing that. If you look at the roster, they go 9 deep. They're one of the most deepest teams in the MAC this year, in the I can't even say the damn Mid-American Conference, excuse me, in the MAC. I'll just say it like that. And they probably had the player of the year in this conference. Enrique Freeman, who's a forward. He played 30 games this year, 32.2 minutes per game. He averages 18.2 points per game, and he averages almost 13 rebounds per game. People need to start recognizing this kid nationally, not just only in this conference. He's one of the best players. I honestly would put him in like a top 50 players category, definitely top 35, because he's averaging a double-double this year. And he's been incredible. And he shoots over 36% from 3. So take what Zach Edey does from the national level and the Big Ten and just add a 3-point shot to that. Now, he's not as tall, obviously. He's not as really dominant as Zach Edey is. He's only 6'7", but he does a lot of good things for this team. And that's why they've won so many ball games this year. And also that he has a couple guards on this team to be able to help him out. We got Ali, one of the best names in the damn country. 15.5 points per game, almost 4 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists per game. Doesn't shoot the 3 ball particularly well, but I mean, he's just scoring paralysis, attacking to the rim, and that 1-2 punch between him and Freeman is just disgusting. Greg Tribble is the other guard I want to talk about. Plays over 29 minutes per game, 10 points per game, 2.6 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 46.6% from 3, 76% from the free throw line, and shoots over 35% from 3. So he's capable of knocking down the 3-point shot. But like I mentioned earlier, they go 9 deep, and I think it's going to play an extremely important factor. But if you look at Ohio, they go 10 deep. 2 of the deepest teams in this league are head-to-head for a chance to make the tournament championship on Saturday. Jalen Hunter leads the team in scoring, 14 points per game, 5 assists per game, 4.4 rebounds per game. Does a little bit of everything for this team. That's why they've been so successful this year. Then you have Sharif Mitchell, his backcourt mate, 13 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, and 2.3 assists. And he takes care of the ball pretty well. I mean, averaging about 1.4 turnovers per game. And he shoots 33% from 3. So the guards, even though they're offensively prolific, they don't shoot the 3 ball particularly well. But they've got 2 guys in AJ Clanton and Miles Brown who do that for them because they both shoot over 41% from 3. I think this team's very, very talented. And like I mentioned, whoever wins this game will go on and beat Central Michigan in the final. But the toughest part for me, Ohio, they are 3rd in offensive 3-point percentage, shooting 36.8% from 3. Something has to give in this game. Ohio does a good job at shooting the 3-point line or shooting the ball from 3. But like I mentioned in Akron, the number 1 team at the defending 3. So something has to give. And in a tournament atmosphere, I will always say your defense travels, and you can always rely on your defense, and your defense is more consistent than offense on any given night. and I think the defense prevails. Akron holds them to about 34, 33% from this game. I definitely don't think they're going to shoot 28% from three-point line. I think they'll shoot maybe a little bit higher than that. They're going to be able to hit some shots. They're just that good at hitting those outside shots from three-point line. But I think Akron, they're deep. They're talented. The only thing that scares me is they did lose 2 games in a row in the final regular season, including a really bad game against Eastern Michigan, when they lost by 1 point on senior night in their home floor, 61-60. But the next game, they end up losing to Western Michigan, 90-84. So even though the offense is ranked third, the defense I think is like very important to keep an eye on in this game. They're just as good, and they're just as good as their offensive is. I think Akron, I'm going to stick with my drone pick, stick with my heart. I think Akron wins this league title. They go on, they beat Ohio in a very intense and I can see this game going in overtime, honestly. Keep an eye on this one because I think it's going to be very entertaining to watch if it happens. I think Akron beats Ohio, and they go on and just beat Central Michigan in the tournament. Their depth is just too much for Central Michigan to overcome. Central Michigan's defense is just as good, definitely a little bit better than Akron's, but Akron's offense is just so much better than Central Michigan's, and they're deeper, and they defend the three-point line better than Central Michigan does, and Central Michigan does not shoot the ball well from 3 at all, and Akron shoots 33% from 3, which I mentioned that's pretty much good enough to win this game. I can see this game being low scoring, though. I think Akron wins this game like 71-62. I think they win this game by 9 points. Either way, I think this league's going to be very fun. Keep an eye on this. You have legitimately 4 or 5 teams that can go on and win this tournament. It's one of the most underrated tournaments, underrated brackets heading into Selection Sunday. So keep an eye on this one. I can't wait to watch these games on Thursday. I'm going to keep an eye on pretty much all these matchups. And I think the quarterfinals hold chalk. I think the top 4 seeds move on to the semifinals, and anything after that, I think it's house money because I really don't know who's going to win. I'm just going to stick with my drone pick, stick with my heart, stick with my instincts, and I think Akron wins this league. Let me know what your opinions are down below. Let me know if you think, as you agree with me, you think Akron wins this league. Maybe you think Central Michigan wins this one. Maybe you think Toledo holds chalk as the 1 seed and wins this league like they did the regular season. Or maybe you see a team like Bowling Green. Hell, maybe you think Western Michigan, who can come out as a 6 seed and goes on and upsets everybody and just scores a lot of points. Who knows? We'll see. I think this tournament's going to be very fun to watch. Keep an eye on it. My name is Peyton Bowden, and I will catch y'all next time. Peace.